I started playing video games when I was 4 or 5 years old. I can't remember exactly what my first video game was, but the earliest games I remember playing was New Super Mario Brothers on the DS and Halo 3. I remember playing with my brother. We had friends that would come over and they'd play, and there's some other little games we played on the Xbox 360, but other than that, I didn't really play much games when I was like 4 or 5 years old, because, I was 4, and I would, play with toys and stuff like that for the most part. Obviously, as I got older, around like 6, 7 years old, I started, playing other games. I remember mostly mobile games, of course, but I remember one day, it was August of like 2013, and I remember going through the App Store looking for a game to play, and I see Plants vs. Zombies, and I'm like, oh, it's 99¢. And I'm like, all right, I'm sure, my mother will be able to get this game. And she's like, no. I'm like, what? It's only 99¢. She's like, no. And I'm like, all right. And I scroll down, I see PvZ 2. This was when Far Future was added to the game, which this is super early on, okay? Like super, super early. So, because it was free, we downloaded it, and yeah, played it. Then months later, like that was August 2013, around February, March of 2014, we're at Red Lobster eating with family, and I'm telling one of my, actually, I don't know what you call him, my aunt's at the time boyfriend, told me about this Garden Warfare game, and I'm like, no, I've never heard of it. And he's like, oh, you should play it, because it's Plants vs. Zombies. And I remember, we went home that day, and mom and dad were talking about getting the game, and they got it that night. And if you remember, when you downloaded Garden Warfare 1, you could play that little demo thing, which games don't really do that anymore the more I think about it. But yeah, while you were downloading the game, you could play like this little demo, and I thought that was the game. So that night, I remember, selecting like the pea shooter and just walking around and shooting at zombies and being like, all right, this is pretty cool. And then I went to sleep. I woke up and saw a menu, like this completely different menu. And I remember just being like, what is this? And I remember at the time thinking that the multiplayer online mode was a hard mode, but eventually I got pretty good at it. For my age at the time, I got really good at it. Like I remember, getting 20 kills, 40 kills. I think my highest at the time when I was young was like 50. Obviously Garden Warfare 1 was kind of broken, especially nowadays, because it's not going to get a balance update, so everyone's just going to play the most powerful characters like Toxic P, the Chemist, Fire Chomper, Super Commando. You get what I'm saying. But that game was that game when I was younger. That was the game I played when I went home from school on the weekend. Like that was the game. Okay, I played other games. I played Pokemon, I played Mario games. Like, Pokemon Platinum is my favorite game. My favorite Pokemon game, not my favorite game of all time. But I remember playing that, Pokemon Black and White. But Pokemon at the time was mostly for my brother. It's kind of funny because the more I think about it, my brother will get into something, and then I might get into it, and then either one of us is going to get more into it than the other. FNAF was definitely that game where, similar timing, so I guess I'll kind of go on to FNAF. I remember seeing the game on the App Store, August 2014, and being like, oh, this is weird. I remember playing the demo and getting jump scared and be like, I'm never playing this again. And then one day, in like October 2014, I see my brother playing it. I'm like, what? You're playing, that game? He's like, yeah, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. And yeah, I remember, I would come back home from school and he'd tell me like, oh, there's going to be like a mask in the game. There's going to be like these 2.0 animatronics, which if you remember, that's what we were calling them at the time, the toy animatronics. And I just remember being like, I think you're lying, but whatever. Because he did that at the time and still does. FNAF 2 releases, and I remember I come home, he's telling me like, dude, the game it's here. And I was like, what? Because if you remember, the promotional image said 2015. But it released, and I remember we watched Markiplier play it. It's still a running joke between me and him that he thought the balloon boy was called Balloon Popper. But yeah, I remember December 2014, the game theory video came out, which was pretty much the first actual FNAF game theory video, because of course he did FNAF 1, but that was, we're not going to talk about that. But I remember after that, I went on with the series. I, still followed the series from then. My brother kind of, dropped off of it after that. I was the one that was the FNAF nerd after that, and still am. I still very well am, okay? But yeah, back to PVZ. I remember, 2015, there were talks about Garden Warfare 2, that PopCap had something, to come out, or something to announce. And, the devs had said Garden Warfare 1. They didn't call it Garden Warfare. They said Garden Warfare 1. And people were like, that's some weird wording. And then we got the announcement. I still remember, scrolling and seeing Garden Warfare 2. And I thought it was a concept. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I go on YouTube, I see the trailer, I'm like, no way. And that game that game is unbeatable to me, okay? The hype, I remember all the images and trailers and all the teasers and all that, like, dude, that was the game. And I still remember the exact day I got it. It was February 28th of 2016. I remember that night, my father surprised me. I put it in, my console, my Xbox One. And I remember playing it and just being blown away that after all this time, I was finally playing this game. And it was so good, okay? Not to diss on modern day gaming, because I don't think it is as bad as they think it is, because it's bad when it comes to multiplayer games, like, oh, free to play, $20 skins, battle pass, very drip fed content, obviously it's going to look bad if you look at that, but in terms of games as a whole, like indie games and just smaller projects, like, I mean, come on, single player games I think is still doing really good. But anyway, it's just unbeatable. Garden Warfare 2 was just unbeatable to me. Months after Garden Warfare 2 release, I remember seeing Overwatch. If you remember 2016 Overwatch, like the hype it had, oh my god, was it so big. Everyone was talking about this new hero shooter, and I remember seeing the picture of Mercy. I still don't like that picture, actually. But anyway, I remember seeing that picture of Mercy and just being like, what the hell is that? I'm not playing that. I'm like, this looks like a Disney film, even though I was playing Garden Warfare 2, which doesn't look like a Disney film, but it's cartoony. I remember eventually seeing the gameplay and being like, okay, this actually looks pretty cool. There was going to be a game eventually, like Overwatch, this hero shooter with these crazy characters that everyone loves, personality, hero abilities, all of that. The game modes. That wasn't Garden Warfare 2 and wasn't TF2. It was eventually going to happen. It happened, and that game was Overwatch. And Overwatch, to me, has a really bumpy history. And it's not because I like the gameplay. No. It's actually how many times I bought the game. It's how many times I bought this game, okay? So, December 2016, I get Overwatch 1 for Xbox, okay? I still have my Winter Wonderland 2016 banner. Played it. The disc got scratched up because the Xbox One was getting pretty old at the time, and it was scratching up every disc. Then, technically, I got it on PlayStation. I didn't pay for it. I don't know why. You could just download it. I think there was like some free weekend or something. I have no idea. I do not know. But when I say I barely played, I probably played like one game. It is such a fever dream, but I do remember downloading it on PlayStation. Then 2020 rolls around. I remember getting it on Xbox again. Then December 2020 comes. By that point I have my PC, so I get the game on PC. That's another time of getting the game. Then Overwatch 2 beta comes out summer 2022, and I'm like, okay, they're saying that if you, and I'm still pissed about this. I am still pissed. They said if you buy the Watchpoint pack, you will solidify getting PvE, because we were told, of course, PvE, okay, cool. There's extra game mode. And, of course, guaranteed access to the beta. So I get the Watchpoint pack, I get the skins, I get, I get into the beta, and then once the game came out, I got the skins, I got the Overwatch coins and all of that. So that's technically another. I basically purchased Overwatch 2, even though the game's free to play. Those skins wound up coming to the shop anyway, that you could get for free anyway. I bought the game that many amount of times just for the game to eventually go free to play. And we didn't even get the PvE, and the 3 missions that we got was $15, and because Microsoft, we know for a fact we're not getting PvE at all. So, damn. I don't know, I love the game though. I used to be a Cassidy main, but then Overwatch 2 came out, and I'm like, I like Orisa. Now I'm definitely a Zarya main. I love playing Zarya. Zarya is my character. So, yeah, if you're curious about that. But how can I talk about popular games and just my story with it without mentioning Fortnite? Way back in 2017, it was October of 2017, and we had a friend named Corey, and I remember he had a YouTube channel where, you know, he'd upload like gaming clips, right? You know those channels that are just gaming clips and just nothing else? We see them from time to time, okay? And you know those random videos on YouTube where it's like a meme quote, but it's like some OG Fortnite clip? He was uploading those, okay? I'm not even trolling. He was uploading those. He was uploading these clips of him playing Fortnite in Season 1. And I remember thinking like, okay, this game looks stupid. I'm like, this game looks stupid. What is this? And it's funny because a lot of people had that same experience with Fortnite. They looked at it, they're like, what the hell is this? I'm not playing that. And then they played it, like it grew on them, and then they played it and they're like, okay, this is pretty cool. I remember sitting on the stairs and being like, okay, I'm judging this game that I haven't played yet. Don't judge it. You haven't played it. Now, I thought that Fortnite would be a paid game because that's how games were at the time. You would pay, you know, $40, $60 on them, and then they get updated at, you know, every few months or so. But Fortnite changed everything, okay? Eventually, January 2018 comes. This was right before the Season 2 map update that added Tilted and all that. You know, my brother comes back from, you know, my father's, and I see the game's download. I'm like, Fortnite is free? And he's like, yeah, it's free. And I don't remember anything from my first match. I don't remember anything. But I remember playing it and be like, alright, that's pretty cool. But it sucks because I didn't really play the, you know, any game on my Xbox all that or on our Xbox at the time, because usually it was his console. I didn't really play it all that much. I'd play like maybe like 2-3 matches a day, and I was horrible. I was the worst Fortnite player of all time. Okay, I couldn't aim. My heart would race at like 20 players left. Not even 10. 20 players left. My heart would be racing. Every time I saw another player, I was terrified. Like, Fortnite was like real life for some reason back then. Eventually, May of 2018, I got, you know, we wound up getting a PlayStation because the Xbox wound up breaking. And then I played a little bit more after that, like a lot. Like I was really into Fortnite. Okay, I was really into Fortnite, and it wasn't until I got my own PlayStation in November 2018 that I really was like, okay, here I am. Okay, Fortnite is probably my most played game of all time. It's probably, I mean, I'm not embarrassed to mention that because Fortnite is just such a game. You know, like back then, everyone used to hate the game. They'd be like, oh my god, you know, Fortnite, like people got tired of it. As time went on, it's still popular to this day. And like people have gotten, you know, time to play it. There's now zero build in case, you know, you're like, if you're a really casual player, you now have zero build. It's hard to hate on Fortnite these days, you know. But it's definitely the game I played the most. I have like 5,000 hours on my PC, 6,000 hours on my Xbox, and I don't even want to know how much on my PlayStation, because I did want to get an Xbox again. But a lot of time on PlayStation, and then there's probably even more time on like other devices that I just remember like messing around with, like on Switch, mobile, stuff like that. But anyway, definitely the game I played the most. I still play it pretty much every day. Even if it is just kind of getting on Save the World, getting V-Bucks, and then, you know, that's kind of it. Still play the game. Still keep up with the game. You know, it's a game that I will always, you know, have, you know, close to my heart, because like, it's the game I put the most amount of time to. That was the game I played when I got home from school. That was the game I played, you know, just when I was bored, I played it with friends. Like, it's just, that game will always just go down as like that was the game, you know. I never played tournaments, but I did take the game very seriously. I worked on, you know, my builds, my edits, and all of that, my game sense. You know, I still keep up with FNCS and the pros, and you know, like who's top of the leaderboard. You know, Vino, Peterbot, you know, Tayson. You know, like these are players that, like, if you know Fortnite competitive, you definitely know who they are. But anyway, nowadays I play games on PC. The games I usually play every day is usually, you know, of course, Fortnite and Overwatch because they're multiplayer games, but I do play a lot of other games. You know, I played a ton of single player games. You know, I played Cyberpunk, I played Spider-Man Miles Morales. I've been recently playing Path of Exile. I've played Undertale, played Terraria, of course, Minecraft. I didn't even mention Minecraft. To be honest, I don't even know how I found out about Minecraft. I just remember, you know, my brother was playing it. And then I remember I was playing it, you know, we got it on 360, then we got it on Xbox, then we got it on PC. But yeah, like I played a ton of Minecraft. Don't get me wrong, like I definitely, like, dude, it's wild. I don't play Minecraft too much these days. I just feel like compared to other survival games, I prefer like Terraria and stuff like that. But I still like Minecraft. I want to say the last time I played it was like 3 days ago. So there's that. I played, you know, Call of Duty. I played Fallout 4, you know, Six Siege. Oh yeah, Counter-Strike, Valorant, which I may have more hours on Valorant, but I actually prefer Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is a much better game in my opinion. But I like Valorant. Even if it is kind of a love-hate relationship, kind of like, you know, people have towards Overwatch or like League of Legends, which I played a bit of League of Legends. Oh my god, I can't say that. I played a bit. It's okay. Not bad. I played BioShock. Love BioShock. It's amazing. I remember playing Watch Dogs when I was younger. Yeah, that's another one. Watch Dogs 1 in particular. That's another series that, like I said, like my brother, he took off with that. He played, you know, Watch Dogs 2 and stuff. I mostly just played the first game. I remember playing Angry Birds when I was younger. I remember playing Stardew Valley. I never really was too big on The Legend of Zelda, but I've played a good amount of Breath of the Wild. It's a pretty good game. Just really time consuming. Like, actually not time consuming, that's not the best way to describe it, but I feel like you know what to do, but at the same time you don't know what to do. It's really strange. It's like I know what I'm doing, and at the same time I don't know what I'm doing. And I know I'm not the only one, because if you played games like that, like God of War or whatever, like you play them, you understand the controls, you're like, all right, good. And then you come back after a while and you're like, what are the controls again? I remember Circle Tunes had brought this up in one of his videos. I love video games. I don't know what else to really say. They are an escape. They're forms of entertainment. And I feel like they should be respected in terms of what they are. Because of course video games have always gotten the short end of the stick. Like, oh, you know, they're video games. You know, they're rotting your brain, whatever. But like, you could say the same thing about TV. Too much of anything is a bad thing. And I like to think I don't play too much video games. I like to write. I like to, you know, watch, you know, whatever shows and stuff like that. You know, I like to draw. I like to do other things. And I want to do other things, of course, you know. And I feel like that's a good thing. I don't know how people can sit on a game for like 10 hours a day. I can't do that. I usually play like Overwatch about like an hour or two a day. Sometimes there's like those days where I play for like 4 hours. But I don't know. I just like to have a little session where I get on and I get off, you know. The only negative thing that I can think of about video games is morely an issue with modern day games. I kind of briefly mentioned this, is how many games are kind of going free to play and they're adding, you know, battle passes and $20 skin sets. Some of them are beyond $20. They're going for $30, $40. You know, there's this one bundle that was like $90 in a COD game, and I'm like, you're spending more on this item in the game than the game itself, you know? And I'm not trying to sound doomsday about it, but I do think it's ridiculous, you know? Kind of miss when you would buy a game and you get all the content. You get all the content and all that stuff. You know, if you purchased anything in the game, it was completely optional, you know? I'm just scared that gaming's gonna try to go a little bit more, like way more monetary, where it's like money first, player second, you know? And I don't like that. I think that's very scary, and I think if that keeps happening, I'm just not gonna play that game. you know? I'm not gonna play those games, and I think that's sad, you know? I think it's sad that, you know, people don't even trust the big companies like Activision, Ubisoft, you know, those companies anymore, you know? Um, but yeah, I'm obviously very open to criticism with video games as much as I love them, you know? But yeah, gaming should be respected. I think people should see it as a great art form. The same thing with movies and TV and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe that'll happen in the future. I don't know. Things change, even if they take a while, you know? Like, nerd culture was seen as such a weird thing back then, and it still is, but, like, it's gotten way better over the years, and I like to think that it's the same case with video games, but might take a bit longer. I don't know. Because those people didn't grow up with video games, and even if they did, it's just so different. You know, if you grew up watching movies, the movies you have today, they may be different, but hey, you sit down, you watch it. Music, you sit down, you listen to it. You know? So, yeah. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep yapping, you know? So, yeah, that's my whole thing around video games.